All right, our next question comes from Scott. Scott is asking about visualization. He wants to know, do I visualize? Does it actually work? And how he can use it to improve his Krav Maga. Thanks for the question, mate. Now, visualization does work. And there's many successful business people, teachers and athletes who use this successfully. All right, it's actually been proven to work through scientific studies. And if you were just to Google scientific studies on visualization, you'd find a lot. All right, there's been a particular study done that I know about with a Olympic team, a gymnastics team, and they basically put the team into two groups. One group was visualizing on a day-to-day basis, and the other group was not visualizing at all. And what they found was the group that was visualizing performed better, were able to learn new movements quicker, and overall did a lot better than the other side. So there is a lot of scientific study to prove it. Personally, I use visualization. I always have. And I've always had this perspective that it's pretty much 80% mindset, mental. I remember when I was a teenager in school, I would argue with my peers because my mentality was, in a fight, it's 80% mindset, mental, and they'd be like, no way, it's more physical than mental. But look, I've come across some very talented athletes in my time, physically gifted athletes, and basically what I'm saying here is there's been many people, for example, with MMA who will come in, they're just beasts, they can fight, they've got great timing, they're like prodigies, but they don't have it here. So what can happen there is they don't actually follow through with the training. They don't get to that point. They don't get to the championship. They don't get to the UFC. But then you've got guys who have got like relatively good physical skill, but their mindset is just strong. You know, they work with focus, with purpose. They visualize, and they really believe in themselves. And then you look at how these people perform. You know, as I said, they may not be the greatest athletes, but because their minds are so strong and focused, they're able to, one, push themselves athletically, and most importantly, put themselves in the right frame of mind to win. All right, that's really important. So visualization does work. Now, I think one of the issues with visualization, it's a little bit like meditation in that people think it's esoteric and unobtainable. Right? It doesn't have to be something that's like, ooh, wow, right? Airy-fairy. You don't have to see every single detail. And I think that's where a lot of people really get conflicted with this over. So look, visualize in the best way you can, right? There's basically a couple of different ways you can visualize. There's outcome-orientated visualization. And this is pretty much where you go in with that mindset of begin with an end in mind. You picture yourself getting to the end of the race. You picture yourself winning the race. Okay? You picture yourself getting to your yellow belt in Krav Maga, or your P5, or your Expert 1. Okay? You visualize the end result. You visualize your mansion, your home with your wife and 2 kids, right? This is all example of outcome orientated visualization. All right, then you've got process orientated, and the example I used before with the gymnasts, they were really focused on very much on both, but more so in the process orientation, because in one particular case they were learning a move and they were breaking up the movements in their visualization. And this is really handy for Krav Maga, and this is something that I've done most of my life, both ways actually, but more so I started with a process orientated visualization because it was easy. As a teenager, I wanted to be a great fighter. I wanted to know how to protect myself. So I would visualize myself defending something like a punch. Someone would punch me and I'd block or deflect and then come back with a punch of my own. And I would imagine how my body would move and the dynamic of the movement. You know, turning the hip, heel, shoulder, for example, snapping, getting that power. And then I'd also visualize the effect of the punch, you know, getting a hit, and then what would be my next proper movement, what would be the right sequence for that movement based on their reaction. And initially it was very much block, 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 block. I had to think about it, but I got so good at it through just doing it over and over and over and over again that it became intuitive, right? And that's what I recommend you do, okay, for Krav Maga, for any martial arts. Okay, picture yourself doing your moves, picture yourself defending that punch and counter-attacking, and visualize what happens through the process. Okay, visualize different options. Don't just stick to the one. All right, unless you need to, of course. And yeah, have fun with it at the end of the day. Like I said, it doesn't need to be this intense visual where you see every color and, you know, come out going, oh, that was fantastic. Okay, some of us don't have the capacity to visualize in that way. So get started. I hope that helps, and I think it's really, really powerful. Thanks, Scott.